Come on. There we go. Right. Let me put this on silent, by the way. So
Tractor Supply customers experience.
This is what happens when Eddie's not quite ready yet.
No, or when David's too jumpy and premature onto. What is that little thing at the top?
That's a privacy thing. This is a new camera we're trying out.
I know, I see, but what is the little? Is that another camera?
It's
on
a
top?
flap that closes to cover the camera when you want to black it out.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't reach it.
You want to cover it real quick, because
Well, See, I can't quite reach it though. So if you pick your nose, people are going to see it.
If I pick my nose.
Yes.
All right. I'll try not to pick my nose.
There you go. But yeah, so if the lighting looks a little bit different today, folks, it's because we're trying out a new camera. I messed with the settings for a little while. Man, I've got a suntan, according to this camera.
Well, if you have a tan, what must I look like?
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, it lights you up. Remember, we'd have problems with the camera. See, your face, it just wasn't picking up the color.
The color.
Yeah.
Yeah, I add color to the program.
Yeah.
Even when I don't speak.
Yeah. But, Eddie, white is a color, too.
That's true.
So we're all colored.
Black is the absence of color. So
truth is, we're all
you're actually the colored people.
Yeah.
And we're the
uncolored
people. Yeah.
Black is the absence.
That's true.
Yeah,
so
an unidentified color.
They've had it wrong all this time.
Yeah.
You uncolored folk.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. For some reason, I'm not able to get what I want on here, but it's okay. I'm sure we can, because I know what I want to talk about primarily for the day.
Eddie's got his agenda. He just has to.
Well, I'm sure you're
get some facts to support his opinion.
That's true.
It's like the preacher once told me, I know what I'm going to preach. I just now got to find scriptures to back it up.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. I want some scripture to back up what I already believe. Yeah. All right. Well, okay. We'll just go ahead and go with it as it is. We'll make it a good show. So anyway, are you ready, David?
Oh, yeah.
David is ready. All
you guys are ready, right?
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
There we go.
1, 2, 3.
Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom.
Yes. Those golden tones.
Yeah. I just noticed the deep bass riff on that for the first time.
No, it's a nice intro. Newsboys, everybody. Mm-hmm. Stay Strong is the name of the song.
Mm-hmm. Pretty Boy Joel on bass, right?
It's funny. I love Newsboys music, but I never got to know who the individual members were.
You know the pretty boy, the golden blonde.
Well, I've seen the pictures of him, but I don't know his name.
I think he plays bass.
The only names of the Newsboys groups, plural, are the two guys that
the notorious.
The notorious boys. The two disgraced Pete Furler and Michael Tate.
Yeah.
Michael being a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
Which I feel very badly about, but I pray for him.
That's right.
Yeah. So anyway, welcome, David. Another Saturday.
Yeah.
Moving on through the year 2025. It's so funny when I think about in the year 25.
Yes.
If man is still alive. Well, you know what? We're still here.
Yeah.
And if women survive.
Yeah.
That was quite a song. It came out in I believe 1970 is when 69 or 70, one of those 2 years. I think it was 70 actually. I think it was the summer after my freshman year. But anyway, that's a song that will always stay in my mind, and it's got such a catchy hook right there. In the year 25, if man is still alive, if women can survive. But if you never heard it, look it up. It's an interesting song.
Very philosophical. You know, the 70s had some great philosophical
Oh yeah,
challenges
oh yeah, it did.
in music. Yeah.
Yeah. 70s. To me, 80s was the greatest era of music as far as actual music.
Yeah.
When you want to get down,
Composition, yeah.
right? When you want to get down to actual.
There we go.
Yeah, when you want to get down to actual substance, the 70s, late 60s, 70s. And you know, it's funny because, believe it or not, I think it began with Barry McGuire, he had left the New Christy Minstrels. He started out with the New Christy Minstrels. Then he went solo and did the song Eve of Destruction.
Wasn't he part of a recording of Jesus Christ Superstar?
No.
Who was that?
Murray Head.
Okay.
Murray Head.
Yeah.
Who did One Night in Bangkok. One Night in Bangkok.
Okay.
Da.
Yeah.
But yeah, he played Judas. I actually got to see him. I saw Jesus Christ. You know, it's always so funny because Christians always, for some reason, we want to tell people what not to see, what not to watch. And whether it's spiritual or not, okay?
Yep.
It's one thing to tell people, don't go to a house of prostitution or a strip show or this or that. But even things that are Christian or spiritual, they want to tell you, don't stay away, because always somebody has an issue with it.
Yeah.
And so Jesus Christ Superstar was one of those that back in the day, people told you, no, you, as a Christian, don't go. Well, I wasn't a Christian, so I didn't get the message. And I went. And I'll be honest, it actually opened my eyes to a hunger, beginning to have an appetite and hunger for spiritual things and wanting to get my life right with Christ. And then probably, I'd say 6 months to 8 months later, I ended up coming to the Lord.
Yeah.
And then a year later, after my wife got saved, I ended up seeing Godspell, the movie. Did you ever see that? The movie Godspell?
I didn't sit through beginning to end, but I saw several portions of it.
For those that don't know, Godspell, it started from a Catholic church. I can't remember where, some youth group in a Catholic church did this. And what they did, they took the Gospels and they put them into a modern theme, but it was kind of like characters, and they were like clowns almost. And they were dressed in very gaudy things, but the film did it. But if you really know scripture and you follow it, all of the scenes and the songs are related to scriptures in the Gospel of Matthew. It was a Catholic thing that got going. And my wife and my first date, was dinner and a movie.
Yeah.
And the movie was Godspell.
Yeah.
And it has always stuck with me. I actually bought the album, and I have the video. It's, you know, you can probably look it up somewhere if you ever get a chance. On YouTube, put in Godspell, and you'll see these characters painted up, kind of like clowns or circus people. And some of the songs from that still are my favorite songs. I mean, they're just deep. They're deep. Very good music. Now, here's what's weird, though. The character, only two of them actually made it beyond the film. A bunch of them have passed away now. But anyway, the characters that played Jesus.
Yeah.
And then Lynn Thigpen, she is a black lady, and she was in different TV shows throughout the years. But the main character who played Jesus, tragically, to me, he's still alive, but he's gay. He's gay, a gay actor, and he's been in a lot of, and I can't think of his name right now, but he has starred in many films and usually plays more of a.
Is that Eugene Levy?
No.
Okay.
Plays a sub character in these, and I can't even think of some.
Victor Garber.
Yeah, Victor Garber.
Okay.
Victor Garber is. And Lynn Thigpen, those are the two whose careers actually went on. But was Eugene Levy in it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, he may be another one, because I think Eugene Levy, he's a comedian, isn't he?
Yeah.
As far as I know, yeah. But But anyway, if you get a chance, go on YouTube and look up some of the songs from
See, I
gospel.
was just 9 years old when that came out.
Well, poor you. You
Yeah.
missed out on the good
I
stuff.
I did.
The best of life.
Yeah. But it actually went to Broadway.
Well, it started at Broadway.
Right.
And then they made a film afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if, the Catholic.
Well, yeah, it started a youth group and then it grew and made it all the way to Broadway and then they made a film out of it.
Yeah.
True. It was very popular for a long time. And unlike Jesus Christ Superstar, which was roundly condemned because, it was seen as blasphemous or whatever. And you could take certain aspects and say, but it depends on the mindset you go into it with. See, I was actually looking for the good, the meaningful, not the what can I nitpick is wrong with it. And to be honest, I didn't know enough anyway. So it was all good. And even Judas, Murdy Head singing these, I am the Christ, the great. He played Caesar. I mean, not Caesar, Pilate.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
And he was, I am the Christ, the great Jesus Christ. He was dancing around in front of him, taunting Jesus and everything, and all of that. But but like I said, to me, regardless of what you do or think, Jesus was still the main character, and he came out looking good.
There you go.
In the movie, in the stage play.
It's no different than people criticizing Joel Osteen's preaching. Yeah, I would have done a little different. I would, in Monday morning, playwrights.
But it's more than that, a little different. I mean, they want to condemn him to hell as a heretic.
Well, I just pulled it up with a Google search, and they said the biggest criticism is it ignores the resurrection. And to some people, that was important, that you don't leave the Savior dead.
Which?
That's what I'm reading in Godspell.
Wow, I didn't get that. Because the final scene.
It says there's also been controversy over Godspell's lack of any obvious depiction of the resurrection of Jesus.
Yeah, what happens? He dies, and then after they're mourning him and all, and they're mourning and they're carrying his body, and then all of a sudden they go around the corner, and then all of a sudden, they start singing. This joy is that he has risen, basically.
But to distinguish it from, say, a Buddhist belief, like is depicted in Star Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi, I'll be more powerful dead, it's like he's a spirit being and that's it. And the point is he physically rose from the dead.
Right.
I think was what people are being critical about.
Yeah, you can do that, but see, again, that's nitpicky to me, because if you really follow the entire theme of the film.
Because you know what? All four of the Gospels are different. Does that mean there's something wrong with each one of them? Or is each one an elaboration of another dimension of the story?
Yeah, it's funny because it's one of the things, it wasn't as bad back then.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow, the further down the road we've gotten, the more people want to criticize Christian things, like Christian music, okay? And the biggest one, it used to be Hillsong. They find all kinds of issues with Hillsong. Now, of course, because the king of Christian music is the guys out of North Carolina.
Yeah.
Elevation Church, Elevation Music. And of course, the guy who's made it the biggest is, I can't think of his name right now, but he's everywhere. He did the duet with Jelly Roll. Brandon Lake.
Okay.
People now are criticizing Brandon Lake and him doing this with Jelly Roll, the song. And I said, don't you have anything better? In fact, I get so tired. I'm venting right now. I get so tired of looking at YouTube and having all these Christians nitpick and attack Christians and not real issues in the world. They're not attacking the abortion rates. They're not attacking the level of pornography, child trafficking is the
Yeah.
biggest one, and human trafficking is a big one. The influx of Islam, the influence of Islam on the United States. So you're over here. It's like what they call a circular firing squad.
Yeah.
We're killing Christians, and the world's over here running amok. You got Mandami in Mandami or Mandani in New York City.
Yeah.
And nothing to see here. Let's concentrate on Joel Osteen.
Yeah. You know, I have it. Dave Banbury, if you're listening, I hope you appreciate this. My old college buddy called me up a couple of months ago, and we get to talking about things. He's been pastoring a church in Tampa for pretty much his entire career in ministry. And he said, you know, Dave, he says, I don't believe in satellite churches. You know why? Because I don't have one. You know, he makes a great point of people have these attitudes. What they're not up on, they're down on, or what they're not master of is somehow not of God.
Yeah. Those who know me and follow me know I'm very prolific on Facebook.
Yeah.
I live on Facebook. That's how we met.
For good or bad?
For good. Okay. Always for good. Always.
Okay.
Gotta be good. No, but so I've been in this one which is really taken off, and there's this certain preacher who came out of Washington, the state of Washington. Okay. And he's been kind of attacked and ostracized for some of his teachings. Okay. I wasn't one of those that want to throw him totally out, because some of the things that they're accusing him, to me, are not as big as other things that are going on in the body and so forth. So, and he's not even a prosperity teacher. But people question his orthodoxy, and I would say, come on, you know, I've listened to his messages. I don't see the heresy you see. It's just people, anytime somebody becomes very popular, people want to find a reason.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he posted this thing about cohabitation, men and women living together.
Yeah.
Okay. And he gives the example, him and his wife, I'll use the street terms, shacked up before they got married. Okay. And then, of course, then they got married, and he was saying he was living in sin. And so he condemns people cohabiting. And so you cannot believe there are, by now, over 1,000 posts on both sides. But some of them are so ardently against people living together, saying it's not a true marriage because, well, first of all, a lot of them are in error because they think legally it's not legal. You got to go back. There's such a thing, common law, which is recognized everywhere. So, and see, and my thing is this: if you're, as they call, shacking up, or sleeping around with different people, then no, that is unbiblical and it's not godly,
right,
and you need to stop it.
Yep.
But if you and a man and a woman choose to live together without going through a ceremony or going through even a justice of peace, and they want to then identify as married under common law, that's a marriage secularly. And the issue is this: if you remain faithful to one another for all of your days, you are more married than anybody that's gone to a JP and a pastor and gotten divorced 3 times.
Yeah. And
so people get this so twisted that in their mind, secular law is all of a sudden trumps spiritual law.
Exactly. And Eddie, I'm so excited that it's coming out of your mouth and mine, because I felt like, boy, this would be way out there for me to say. But you are spot on.
Yeah.
Marriage is a covenant.
Covenant. And that's the thing. See, he attributes the covenant to, you don't have a covenant until you make it legal through a church or...
There wasn't marriage licenses till about 100 years ago.
Hello. Yeah. And sure, in Israel, the Jews, if you want to go back there, they would get a rabbi and they would have the celebration and the feast. Not everybody can afford that. In fact, a buddy of mine had two daughters get married, over $100,000,
Mm-hmm.
$50,000 a piece for their weddings.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, are you kidding me?
Oh, Eddie, let me ask a question.
Okay.
Was that ceremony in a church sanctuary?
Yes.
Wow. See, that's so rare in Tulsa. Churches don't want you to have the ceremony. They want to tell you what marriage is and follow all their rules, but they've lost their moral authority because they've made so many hurdles to get there.
Well, yeah, but see, here's the other aspect of it, that the churches are charging money to marry people.
Exactly.
And if you want to use this, you got kind of a whole list of charges on, if you want ushers, if you want a reception room, if you want this, and then it's hard getting if in a larger church, if you don't know him personally, you can't get the main pastor. You get some sub pastor, associate pastor, and it's lost its and it's crazy because I say this because I'm licensed to marry, bury, and baptize, and I've done several weddings now, and I always tell a story that this does not make you married. And I always like to go to the story of Isaac and Rebekah.
Thank you.
Where
tell that.
Yeah, Eleazar, Abraham's servant, went to go find a wife, and so he goes and gets there were a couple of them. There was Rebekah and her older sister.
No, you're jumping a generation. That was
Jacob. I'm sorry. That's right. Yeah. Thank you. Oh yeah. So we didn't. So he just goes and finds Rebekah and he brings her back.
She was like a cousin.
Right. Okay. And so they're in Jacob in the morning, he's coming out of his tent and he looks afar off. In fact, I used this. I did this on my own son's wedding that, he was Isaac and she was Rebekah. And Eli came out of his tent and he looked, and riding upon an ass was his wife.
Yeah, Rebekah.
Right. Well, no, I won't say her name now, but
yes. Okay. Your son's bride.
My son's bride. Yeah, it was him. Yeah. He was Isaac and she. And here's Eli. I say, imagine, here's Eli. He comes out of his tent and he sees her riding this donkey, and she gets there. She gets off a donkey. They go into the tent. They have sex. Boom. That's it. They're married. And, and most people are just looking at each other. Man, am I hearing what I think I'm hearing? And, you get chuckles and everything. But it makes it more personal. And that's exactly what happened. That's all it was. There was no witnesses. There were no Abraham and Sarah weren't even there.
Yeah, let me just say, now this was shortly after Isaac's mother, Sarah, had died, right? Her tent is still set up. Genesis 24:67, and Isaac brought Rebekah to his mother Sarah's tent and took Rebekah, and she became his wife. What was the act by which she became his wife? It was the covenant and the act of the covenant that seals it. Okay, you go there, I'm not. And he loved her, and Isaac was comforted after his mother's death.
Right. Let me add to that. Okay. The whole thing of the sexual act. Later on, Paul goes to say that if you lie with a prostitute, you're joined to that.
Yeah.
So in other words, if you're out there having sex with somebody else, that now, for lack of a better way to say it, she's your wife. And you just now have a couple of wives. And what makes it bad is if you discard your other wife in favor, that. So anyway, I don't want to get on to the whole deeper because there's a whole lot more. I'm just, I know people, how can you say that? It's blasphemous. It's deeper than that. There's more to unwind in all that. But what I'm saying essentially that the sex act is what truly binds and solidifies a marriage. And now after that, is, are you remaining and are you with that person forever? Now, let's jump several generations later in King David.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Who is the wife he ended up with?
Uzziah, I believe it was. Or what was the guy?
Bathsheba.
Yeah, I was going to say her husband's name.
Okay. Yeah. No,
Or
it's
Uriah.
Bathsheba, but Solomon's mother. And what did he do? He killed her husband.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you think about it, it's too bad the series David on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Great series. I mean, if you haven't seen it, season 1. But what do they do now? You have to pay for season 2.
Yeah.
I'm not paying, so I'm too cheap.
Yep.
But no. But anyway, I'm wondering how they're going to handle that. King David. It's actually the series King David. But anyway, great series. I'll wait until it's free somewhere later. I'll see it because I've read the book. So anyway, but he ends up killing Bathsheba's husband. No, not Bathsheba. I'm sorry.
Uriah was Bathsheba's husband.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Uriah was her husband, and so he then takes her to be his wife after he has her husband killed.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason he had eyes upon her is because she was beautiful and she was taking a bath in the privacy of her place. But David's palace was high enough where he could look over and see.
She was on a rooftop.
What?
And the only building taller
was his.
And
And so he could see. I think I've seen some movies like that,
mm-hmm.
Years ago. But anyway, so he could see her in all her glory. And he lusted after her to the point where he wanted that one.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, he's the man after God's own heart.
You know what J. Vernon McGee says about that?
No, I'd like to know that. J. Vernon McGee.
He says, people, I'm saying it in his Mississippi accent, wonder why, with all the wives he had and concubines, why he would be so caught up in lust. Well, maybe the answer's right in front of us. He had so many wives, he did not have and take the time to build a bond of relationship with just one. And that's why he believes that monogamy, even though the Bible doesn't strictly forbid bigamy,
right.
It says you get that bond in a one-on-one. And Jesus kind of implies it when he says, God made, therefore shall a man take a woman, to be his wife. He gives that picture of this is how God intended from the beginning, a one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway.
Yeah, but see, even later on, I think in the Mosaic, under the Mosaic law, if you really want to go to that, because if someone's married and the man dies, then the brother is supposed to take that wife as his wife, even though he has a family.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you deal with that? That's why as Paul always said, the law kills, the Spirit gives life.
Yeah.
The word was given to us. Even the law was given to us to give us life.
Yeah.
Not death.
This is the importance of family. Because before there was government and there was food stamps and there was welfare and before all of these social things where the state wants to become the replacement for God's institution, there was family. And family takes care of itself.
Yeah.
That's why Jesus reprimanded the religious leaders saying, you think you're exempt from honoring your father and mother, and in their old age, they're left high and dry.
No, you're right. And in fact, there's several shows of Ruth on right now that you can watch on Amazon or other outlets. And I think my wife and I just and actually our church the pastor's dealing with it. And it's a beautiful love story. It's a beautiful love story. The whole story of Ruth and Boaz and how she ends up becoming Boaz's wife. Now, I have to believe that Boaz had other wives or a wife or wives.
Yeah, it doesn't say, does it?
No, it doesn't say, but I would suspect just because of the way the culture was.
Yeah.
But And the reason he got her is because her husband, who was his brother or kinsman, it's just his kin, could have been a cousin, whatever, had the right then to take her, in fact, the responsibility to take her as a wife. And he basically tricked one of his other brothers into getting her.
Yeah.
And that's how, when he's the father of David, or grandfather of David. So it's kind of interesting. It's just interesting to me what we have done with Scripture. It goes all the way back. I always like to tell this story. I may have done it before about Genesis and Adam and Eve and the apple. And when God told Adam about the fruit, we were saying apple, he told him, don't eat of this fruit. The day you eat of the fruit, you die. So then later, when God asks Eve, after she did it, what did God, oh no, the devil, the snake says to Eve, what did God say? And she says, don't touch it. God never said don't touch it. I'm convinced Adam put that extra little step in there. And years ago when I went to Uganda the first time, we were talking to high school students and everything, and we were talking about sex and alcohol. Because they would ask us, what about dancing? What about drinking? And it says, the Bible doesn't say you can't dance.
Right.
But Baptists say you can't.
Yeah, exactly. It might lead to rock and roll, Eddie.
Right. And then the other thing, it doesn't say anything about drinking. But then I turned around and said, but let me ask you, can you dance without lusting after the person you're dancing with? Can you drink without getting drunk? And all the kids, they're all giggling and, because it hit them right away because they know, no. That's where it's going to lead you to lust after sex or the physical attraction or to drink more, to get high. So it's a natural thing to want to put an extra barrier between the person and sin. But to me, I've always thought and said, once you add that extra barrier, you actually open the door to sin even more, because if they pass that first hurdle, so let's say, take the apple, okay, let's say it's the apple or the fruit, and she touches it. Well, I've already broken God's law, so I might as well eat it while I'm here. So let's say somebody wants to dance and they dance. Oh, I've already broken the rule. So since I've already sinned here.
I'm condemned already.
So I might as well go really do it all the way. Alcohol, say drink, I'm drunk, so now might as well get drunk. Which is what
I don't mean to pick on Methodists, but I don't like replacing God's principles with man's methods. Because that's largely what you're dealing with here, is the preachers and the churches make up a bunch of rules by which you honor the principles of the Word of God.
Right.
And I remember being a youth leader at a little Pentecostal church west side of town here, and I said, let's do a game night. And I said to all the grandmas, I said, get your kids, your grandkids, come on out. Friday night, we're having game night. Play, bring your board games, checkers, whatever. The preacher comes up and he said, Brother Dave, you ought not mention checkers. I said, why?
Checkers.
Well, that's pool-ha. I said, pool-ha? 8-ball, corner pocket. I said, oh, does somebody have a pool table? Oh, that leads to gambling, don't you know? You weren't supposed to go to bowling alleys, and you weren't supposed to go to pool halls, and you weren't, because you might sin. Don't know how, but.
Well, it's like this friend of mine was telling me, at the wedding, so because Baptists don't dance, they can't dance in their own facility. So what they'll do, they'll have the wedding facility and get married in the Baptist church, but then they'll go over to rent the Methodist church and have these dances, square dances, but dances. But they'll go to the Methodist, rent their hall to have the dances, so they're not violating any Baptist law or rule. And that stuff's just crazy, And there's so many of those regulations, man-made regulations, that try to do what Adam was trying to do with Eve
Yeah.
to keep her from getting to ultimately sin of eating the apple.
Yeah.
And the more you can put, and that's why when we tell kids, you know, I don't want you dancing, I don't want you doing this, I don't want you doing that. It's not about that act, it's about the intent of the heart.
Yeah.
Why? Oh, here's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Girls trying to catch a guy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Why are you wearing a short skirt or a low cut outfit
Mm-hmm.
other than to try to attract a man? That's, you know, it's
Yeah.
the method behind it.
I know.
If you're really wanting the right guy and to do it right, you don't need to do that. You should be able to, you know, grow in affection to where you
Yeah.
get to know each other and so forth. And you don't have to be showing the goods to try to get the man
That's
of
just
your
it.
dream, because eventually, if that's what attracted him to you in the first place, the next time he sees one that's better endowed
Mm-hmm.
or showing more
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, then that's going to lead
Right.
him astray.
Debbie and I were, it was the last day of school. I was teaching in Minneapolis the night before she graduated high school, right? So I'm 21, she's just about to turn 18. And we're driving through downtown Minneapolis. I had to drop off one of the students. It was after it. And nice warm day, beginning of June. And a lady's in a street corner, Hennepin, right? And yeah, she's showing as much of the goods as the law would let her. And I said, you know, Debbie, when some women don't feel confident that they can be beautiful, they settle for sexy. And it just shows a lack of confidence in your worth.
Yeah, and it's like guys do too. You know, they want to flaunt their wealth or their dress or their you know whatever, and they don't have confidence that God will bring the right girl at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
And guys do it just as much. You know, you know, it's not. You know, what are the three things? The lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, and the pride of life.
Yeah.
And so, lust of the eyes is always wanting something more and not satisfied with what God gives you. Lust of the flesh, of course, is what we're dealing with. But then the pride of life is the thing where you want to be the man. You want to be the boss, and you want to flaunt your blessing in the church, they would call it. But basically just how cool you are, how whatever. And that one to me is as dangerous, if not worse, than the other two, because it will lead you to the other two, I believe, eventually, if you're not careful.
Yeah, the one translator says the boastful pride of life, the want to be seen, to be honored, to have glory, and yeah.
You're the man, Dave. You're the man. I mean, you know, who can hold a candle to you, brother? You know, you got the best looks, you got the finest car, the biggest house.
Let another man's lips praise you, not your own, Scripture says.
Yeah, I mean that stuff will kill you. You know?
Yeah,
and not having. I've got a friend, one of my best friends.
Eddie has a friend.
Yeah. My one friend. Anyway, he lives in another city, and he started out working in a warehouse, and now he's a multimillionaire. Owns big moving companies, several moving companies. Yeah, multimillionaire, and came from. I mean, he was so poor that they didn't have a bed to sleep in. Him and his brothers had to sleep in the living room, on the couch, and on the floor. And the parents had a one bedroom, and that's where the parents stayed, and the kids slept in the living room. That's just how poor they were, you know. And graduated and going to college, and then just got a kind of a, now, I hate to say menial, but it's considered menial work, working at a moving company, and ended up owning the moving company.
Yep.
And then about 3 different moving companies. So it's like, you know, it relating to what we're discussing, you know, he and I talk frequently. In fact, we just talked the other day, and God has really blessed him with with just a wonderful wife. I knew her before I met him. I met him through his wife. She was a friend of mine when we were all just baby Christians together, making our way through the world. But it's just, you know, he is never, still today, if you met him on the street, you would never, ever imagine that this guy has that blank you money, you know.
Yep.
It just, yeah, God has just been good. And it's because he has been faithful to God and in his giving as well. He's a very, very, as they call, heavy tither, but really has practiced giving.
Yeah.
And God has honored him by giving back abundantly, you know, has 3 wonderful daughters, grandchildren, the whole 9 yards. So anyway, it's just, we have to get away from this legalism that we want to keep making rules. And like I said, it brings me back to what I was talking about earlier. I wish these people would stop using YouTube to come down on pastors and Christian music. Use your gift, if it is a gift, or your vehicle, your medium, to speak against the world, the sins of the world, and what's going on in the world. Because you're just helping the other side. You're creating division, you're creating doubt, and you're not, let's put it this way, you're not helping the cause of the kingdom.
Yeah, my Bible school president put it this way: don't criticize what people have, give them something better. When they realize that what you're offering is better, they'll let go of the old.
Yeah.
And so, you know, those who want to criticize how somebody else preaches a sermon, you know what, start preaching your own sermon. And if it's better, people will be drawn to you.
Right. No, exactly right.
Yeah.
So Dave, what is the thing we need?
Well, we were talking about redemption at the beginning with your friends, the front men from Newsboys.
Right.
I've got a redemption story. Last night I listened to it, kind of fell asleep to it, podcast. George Santos had a sit down, long form with Tucker Carlson.
Oh.
And I tell you what, you know, George really trusts Tucker, and he really opened up to him. And George talks about hitting rock bottom. And he says, it's just changed everything about my priorities. He says, you know, I'm going to mass regularly now. And he's Catholic. He just said a number of things that were so important to me just aren't anymore. And yeah, I don't want to try to encapsulate it in 30 seconds. Pull up Tucker Carlson's podcast. Listen to it for yourself. It will really inspire you about God can get a hold of people.
Oh, yeah.
God can straighten out wrong attitudes, wrong priorities. And George had some, but you know what? So do you and I.
You know, it's funny, but I guarantee you, there are more than a handful of people out there that don't trust George Santos and his mea culpa, that he's just using this, he's doing this. But to me, the greatest example is who was it that worked for Richard Nixon, went to jail for water? Chuck Colson.
Yeah.
Chuck Colson, his prison stay totally changed him.
Changed his life.
Changed his life.
I was thinking about Chuck last night listening to George, because George said, I had the attitude of, well, what does it matter? They're just a bunch of convicts anyway. He's talking about prison reform.
Right.
Because that's what Chuck Colson spent the rest of his life dealing with, was ministry to people who needed new hope.
Right.
A new purpose and everything. And I could see George really stepping into that role, because he just talked about, just the horrible things. He says the kitchen there at the jail is in New Jersey, and I think it's the same one that Sean Combs is at in Fort Dix. He says, it would be shut down by any corrupt health department. You couldn't pay him enough to look the other way. He says, with the, just the food poisoning and everything else. And, the healthcare is even worse. And I know because a longtime friend of mine died in a federal facility in West Texas. And because they let him cough up blood for 4 hours before they let him go to the infirmity, but he had to walk half a mile. He made it a quarter mile, collapsed, never regained consciousness. We would sue like crazy if this happened on the outside.
Private, yeah, sure.
But we just look the other way. And I appreciate George talking about that. Now, when the issue you brought up about trust, nobody owes George to trust him.
Right.
He has to earn that trust. I'm just encouraged by what I hear so far. And how much do I trust him? I don't know. That's not important. Important is I'm seeing good things. If they're accompanied by doing good things, then it'll be a great thing.
By their fruit.
Yes.
You shall know them.
Yeah.
So yeah, eventually down the road, we'll know if George is for real or it's just another one of his scams or whatever.
Yeah.
I would prefer to give him the benefit of the doubt and that God revealed it.
Well, that tells me more about you than it does about George. Do we have a heart of redemption? Or are we skeptical, pessimistic, and generally dismissing of others?
Right.
You've got to be able to be vulnerable in order to even build relationships.
Yeah, and I'll tell you where this really strikes home with me is like, can a Democrat be saved? And because I have to wrestle with this in my attitude towards Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, these people. Yes, if they would turn from their wicked ways and turn to the Lord and ask forgiveness, and they can be forgiven. They will be forgiven. But, the hard part is us accepting their redemption and being willing to offer the forgiveness to them that God offers everybody. And so, through many years as a believer and whatever, I tend to be skeptical. So I always have to pray and ask God to help me not be, so judgmental or skeptical on whether somebody truly, and just wait and see, because it will reveal itself. It will, because there are a lot of people who you think are good Christian people, and then later on you find out they're not. And there are people who you don't think are as good that end up in the end being good and turning their lives around.
So I got a question for you.
Okay.
There was an evangelist named Tony Campolo.
I
remember Tony.
I remember Tony.
Tony was very close friends with Bill Clinton. Tony, I talked to some people older than me who knew more about Tony's ministry. Tony was very much a liberal. And, you listen to his Sundays coming, preaching and stuff. There's a lot of conservative Republican Christians that want to dismiss about, man, that guy couldn't be a real Christian. What can you say on that?
I can't judge. I can't. It's ultimately up to God when he has to stand before him in the end.
Well, that happened just within the last year. He died last November.
Okay, so now he knows, God knows. I don't know. There are a lot of people that fall in that category. I can only discern the teaching. In other words, whether I agree with the things he was teaching.
Oh, you're so right, Eddie.
I can only judge the things he was teaching, whether they're right or wrong.
That's just it.
And not his ultimate end.
Yeah. You know what ad hominem means? It's a debate term. And instead of confronting the point they're making, you attack and dismiss their credibility so that you don't have to come up with a response to the point they made. And I think that's the point what we got to apply here. We say, well, you can't be a Christian, and that. But, hey, is he saying something that you would do well to listen to and at least ponder? Because, his sermons, many people have really appreciated, guys like Tony Campolo. But there were a lot of people felt very uncomfortable because he's cozying up to Bill Clinton.
Yeah, there were a few other issues beyond that, but yeah, that's a big no-no to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And not only that, I mean, there are people that question your Christianity today for cozying up to Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
If we live on Facebook and we read all them, just the Christians that think Donald Trump is of the devil,
mm-hmm.
and they're sitting there supporting the Democrats
mm-hmm.
and the things that they're supporting.
Yeah.
To me, it's not even close.
Yeah.
Donald Trump's individual personal sins. See, there are personal sins and there are collective sins.
Mm-hmm.
So, Donald Trump may have been a philanderer.
Mm-hmm.
He may have been an adulterer. He may have been this and this and this. But when it comes collectively to his care and impact on the broad world, I find no fault in the man.
Mm-hmm.
But he's still got to deal with his own personal issues before God.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got the reverse in the Democrat side, the liberal. I won't just say Democrats because there are a lot of Republicans who feel this way as
mm-hmm.
well. And they're supporting the behavior of the Democrats, not because of the Democrat, but in reaction to their vehement dislike of Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
They're judging of him and anything he does just because of who he was.
Yeah.
And yet it's so funny because when he was a Democrat, none of those things mattered. He was Donald Trump, the billionaire, the billionaire playboy. They were, pumping up. They gave him his own show.
Mm-hmm.
He had his own show. He had all his products. Nobody said a word. As soon as he becomes a Republican and starts trying to
mm-hmm.
change the world
mm-hmm.
for the good,
mm-hmm.
now all of a sudden, he's a hypocrite, he's a sinner,
racist,
a liar, a racist,
a Nazi.
Whatever we can throw at this guy, let's throw it at him. And it just drives me nuts. Are you guys kidding when we know we're looking at Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, AOC,
mm-hmm.
Ilhan Omar, these people, which essentially will destroy this nation. They're killing a Christian nation, and yet you got Christians that are worried about Donald Trump's affair in 1990.
Yeah.
And Israel, they're worried about Israel not being the chosen, and they're going to nitpick on who truly is the child of Abraham and not the child of Abraham, and what and this and that. And I'm saying, please stop. Just get on your knees before God, let it go, and rethink everything. Just rethink, just get into the word and let it come to you and let it manifest itself. And it will.
Yeah.
Man, it just drives me nuts, Dave. There
was a time back in the 90s. Remember Dan Quayle when he was vice president? I had high respect for Dan Quayle. Mm-hmm. His chief of staff was Bill Crystal, and I think it was kind of imposed on him. And Bill Crystal has really disgusted a lot of people, and yesterday took the cake. And I'm like, who cares anymore? You know what Bill Crystal did yesterday? He endorsed Mandami. And here's his reason. Because Cuomo is even more corrupt. Not talking about Curtis Sliwa.
Right.
No, it's got to be one of those other. And I'm like, does Fox even let him on anymore?
Bill Crystal?
Yeah.
I don't think so. One of his protege, what's the young guy that also writes there? I can't think of his name now. You know who I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. He used to be a young guy. He was another one of these that you didn't hear from in a long time, but now all of a sudden he's come back. But he's come back to the more conservative side, whereas Crystal is just, he's gone. And you talk about, you know what it is? It's a root of bitterness. Mm-hmm. That root of bitterness is fermented and grown into a full-on tree. I mean, that guy is so far out there that he will endorse anything if it goes against conservative. And he was it the National Review?
Yeah.
National Review, which was traditionally one of the great conservative periodicals, and he's turned that thing into just a piece of garbage. And so,
And naturally, wasn't that Buckley's? Or
yeah,
was
but
he new?
when Bill passed away, then Crystal took over,
Yeah.
and I wish I could think of the name of the other younger guy who's not so young anymore. He's probably in his 40s, but I can't think of his name right now.
Well, there's David Block. There's no David Block.
No.
Okay.
But anyway, but Bill Crystal to me is a perfect example of a root of bitterness creeping in.
And you know who Bill Crystal's roommate was at Harvard? Alan Keyes.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And Alan Keyes about as conservative as you come.
Too conservative.
Yeah, you know. But Bill Crystal, yeah. But anyway, so that's just some of the things I see in the news. Now, we talk about, how pathetic things look for the New York mayor's race in New Jersey. They could end up with a Republican governor.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice.
Yeah.
Because what would happen, you would quickly see such a difference between the two states. And you would have people fleeing New York across the river to New Jersey.
Yeah.
And if we get a Republican governor and the Republican governor is better than Christie, then a true Republican, a true conservative governor, and he gets the support of the state legislature, he could turn that state into a very prosperous state again and stop a lot of the flight to Florida.
Yeah.
Hey, something, do you have more on that? Because I wanted to.
No, I'm just saying it's two polls have come out and have it at a 1-point race, which is with New Jersey. Right. So, and in California, now that governor's race is down the road, but right now, a British immigrant is leading. And so.
And Fox.
He's a Republican.
Fox host.
Yeah, why can't I remember?
Steve. I got his first name. It's Steve something.
Yeah.
Yeah. We all know him.
Hilton.
Hilton. Steve Hilton. Thank you.
That's right.
Yeah, Steve Hilton is running for governor of California, and I didn't give him any chance in the beginning, but who knows? You just don't know.
But I think it was Whitmer that was Whitmer. They had a Republican woman governor in New Jersey back in the 90s. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. She turned out to be a super liberal, though. She was.
On the national scene, she would appear to be that.
Well, she turned out totally. And in fact, she was opposing George W. Bush back in the day.
Yeah.
And she was coming out more and more crazy, liberal progressive than, she was a true rhino. She and what's his name as well? What's Chubb's name?
Oh, Chris Christie.
There's something like a Krispy Kreme.
Christine Todd Whitman was who.
Christine Todd Whitman. That's her.
Yeah.
She was very pro-abortion. Anti-life.
Yeah.
Pro-abortion. She was for all these liberal things. She was a true rhino, a true Republican in name only.
Yeah. Now,
Christy Todd Whitman.
Chris Christie. There's a number of things where he was pretty strong, what we would consider conservative. He's kind of a bully. and ended up being, he tried to kiss up to Trump. When that didn't work, then he turned on Trump.
Well, it's the weirdest thing. I don't know if you remember, but in the election of, when was it, 2020?
Mm-hmm.
Remember, Christie is the one who was who prepared him
in
the debate,
and
it turned out to be a debacle. I mean, I don't know what Christie, he was preparing him to lose, I guess is what he was doing. But I don't know why Trump even trusted this guy for anything. And then he turned out totally, to stab him in the back.
Yeah.
It was not good. Not good.
Yeah. But as far as national developments, things are just getting more and more hostile in certain cities that are, Chicago being one of them, where ICE, deporting law enforcement, immigration, customs. I don't know. Things could still boil over into, violence. Even more violence. There's already some
Right,
isolated
but
violence.
if you'll remember, that's exactly how it was in the late 60s.
Yeah.
The Chicago. My wife always gets on me for saying Chicago, but the citizens of Chicago call it Chicago.
There you go.
Others want to call it Chicago.
Yeah.
Chicago. But anyway, if you remember the Chicago riots, Detroit, Newark, I mean, you name all these, LA, it was different. It was different people rioting and different things. And I think what you're going to see, they are going to end up turning the tide towards the conservatives because they're so crazy. In fact, what's so funny to me, when they show video of these big giant protests with these thousands of people, the age demographic makes you and I look like kids.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's all these old hippies that that missed out and want to get back out there. I mean, I can't believe how many geezers are out there protesting with these banners and flag, wearing all the weird stuff. I don't know what to say. They're just misinformed and intent on no good. They're unhappy with how their lives turned out, probably. They want to relive an age of something. But
the interesting thing that really's got Washington conservatives worked up. I mean, they watched hundreds of people get railroaded into long prison sentence for showing up January 6th.
Mm-hmm.
But ends up Jack Smith did secret subpoenas and got all kinds of phone records, bank records on Republicans in Congress.
Right.
And I mean, Ted Cruz is fit to be tied, and Grassley and a whole bunch of Lindsey Graham. They're all worked up because it was their privacy.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, whatever it takes to get these guys.
The bad thing is that, as I understand, the jurisdiction for all of those charges and crimes are D.C., and you cannot get a conservative verdict or a neutral verdict in the D.C. courts. If you're a Republican, off with your head. If you're a Democrat, let them go. It's that bad in D.C. Now, if they can get a change of venue to move it to a more fair state, would probably be Virginia, North Carolina, something like that, where it's more balanced, and then you can get a true jury. But in New York, you will never get, or D.C., and probably Philadelphia either, you will not get a fair verdict.
Yeah. So what I think it's going to hinge on is the first change of venue petition that gets appealed and then appealed and then appealed. And eventually, if it can get to the Supreme Court, you think they would turn it down?
I think they would, yeah.
They would turn down the request.
Because, in Jack Smith's case, a lot of one of his trials is in Florida. One or more are in Florida, cases are in Florida. And that's where he's in danger. Now, the ones up in D.C. wouldn't,
No, the change of venue largely can hinge on, can we get a fair trial?
Right. So where is he trying to change from? From the D.C. one or to D.C. from Florida?
No, well, that's a separate issue. What I'm talking about is your first point about these trials that'll go to court in D.C. that won't get fair. Normally, petition for change of venue comes from the defense. Rarely does the prosecution.
Okay. So it's prosecution trying to change the venue.
That's what I'm saying here.
Okay, yeah, now I got you. Yeah. No, because the Florida one, it's where he's trying to get a petition to go elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. And I don't even know if legally in the federal courts, if the process allows for the prosecutor to petition for change of venue.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very unusual.
The only other time I've seen this, Eddie, and I haven't seen, I read about it, goes back to the Prohibition days, because that was a federal offense, right, for liquor. And there were many cities that just would not convict anybody because they were against the whole constitutional prohibition. You know, and again, that lasted, what, 15 years, and they got rid of it. I mean, the people were not ready for that law. You know?
See, and the problem with all of this is that until we're able to convict one or more of these people, they're going to keep doing it because they'll know that the courts protect them.
Yeah, I actually think you almost have to give the full-blown scenario, find the very depths of how big it is, and then just hope that there is enough majority, even in DC, that people are so disgusted with the corruption. But I think our republic is in deep peril right now.
Oh, sure they are, because people have, and the media is very much responsible for this. They're convinced that there's a book. I have a book. It's a debate between John Warwick Montgomery, and I think it's not Arthur Schlesinger. I can't think of the exact name, but anyway, it's dealing with situational ethics. And he begins the book with this story of a farmer whose house has been attacked. They have a secret hiding place. He's defending a place and has his wife and daughter go hide. Is it okay for him to lie and say, I don't know where they are? Or should, because he's lying, which is, you know, an anti-biblical principle. You're not supposed to lie. So is it better for him to tell the truth or lie and not give up, because he knows as soon as he gives up the location of his wife and daughter, they'll be raped and killed? So that's the scenario, and everything builds from there. And John Warwick Montgomery has the position that we can't use situational ethics in a God system. And to me, there's a simple answer. You just don't say anything.
Thank you.
You know, but I mean, but that's what he throws out as the choices, the Faustian choice they give you. You know, it's either this or this. Well, there's another one. You know, you can die without revealing the truth or whatever.
Yeah.
But without lying. But there are certain instances where, what do you do? You know, what do you do? And usually, God gives you a way around it without violating any of his commandments.
You know, God, well, I'll just say, God's prophet one time, I think it was Elijah. Yeah, it was Elijah. Foreign army, I think it was the Assyrians, came to him, said, we're looking for Elijah. Can you take us and show us where he is?
So it was Elisha asking, where's Elijah?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember which one. No.
One of their servants. It was one of their servants. They went to asking where.
No, this was literally him.
Then it would have to be Elisha.
And it's okay, they're looking for me. They don't know that I'm him. They said,
okay.
I will reveal him to you. Follow me. Brought them into a walled city with guards around and everything, and they're outnumbered. He said, okay, I'm the guy you're looking for. Now I got you outnumbered. Now, there was deception there, right?
Well,
but not an actual bald-faced lie.
Yeah, I don't even know if it was deception. He said, yes, I know him, follow me. It was just a delay of the revealing of who he is.
Right. By the way he responded to him, they believed.
But there's a better example. they went to the house and asked, have you seen these men? Do you know? And she said no. She hid them in her house, and then basically said she hadn't seen them.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the only clear example I can see where anybody actually lied and it came out good.
Mm-hmm.
In the end. So
and it doesn't really say whether God condoned it or not.
Well, she and her house were saved. They're the only place in the entire
It turned out
Jericho.
good, but that doesn't mean that God condoned how she went about it. God could have had another way of delivering them.
Well, yeah, but we'll never know. And
Yeah,
not only did it save her and her household, it also she was in the lineage of Jesus.
Yeah.
So it's one of those.
When Ollie North,
I'm not condoning.
Yeah.
I'm not saying okay, you can go out and lie or whatever. No, I'm just saying
right.
that is an example, and I guess that would be situation ethics right there. That the situation was better to save the spies than it was to tell the truth. So,
we're coming up on 40 years since Iran-Contra hearings in Ollie North. Man, it doesn't seem like it's 40 years, but Ollie North was facing all kinds of charges. Eventually, he escaped all of them, right? Mm-hmm. But he was accused of lying to Congress. He said, I wasn't under oath. And so, therefore, I didn't break a federal law. But he says, yes, I'll absolutely lie and deceive you, because to him, this is national security. We are at war, and he didn't have any compunctions about lying. Right. And situation, deception's a big part of effective warfare. Yeah. Yeah.
There's always, at the heart of, to me, it's the heart of the deception.
Yeah.
And of course, you're trusting God.
Do you remember the inflatable army of George Patton that was in Chelsea of England? And it was all put there to convince Patton that the real offensive of D-Day.
You mean Hitler?
To
convince
Hitler. Right. And so Hitler had the bulk of his forces away from Normandy and Omaha and all those places. That was deception.
Right.
That was intentionally deceptive.
Yeah, the fake tanks and fake planes blow up. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, so I don't know. I like you flat out. You have the right to remain silent. At least our government respects that you don't. I mean, otherwise it's torture. There was a lawmaker, David Smith, from down in Ada area. He just got elected. And I like David. He and I become friends. But he had some lawmen convince him to run this bill, his first session. It says, if police stop you and ask you where you've been, where you're going, and you don't answer them, they can arrest you. And I read that, and I'm like, oh my God. So I wrote an article on it. Everybody went nuts. His campaign manager called me and says, hey, David didn't mean it. And David called me, and he just says, I had no idea the effect this is having. And I said, well, think about it, sir. I said, if they do arrest you, what do they tell you? The first thing, you have a right to remain silent. That's what got you arrested. And it was so funny because, by the way, on that point, our friend Ted King, who was in a couple months ago, he's starting a podcast where he's just going to focus on legislation. And I'm probably going to help him out to some degree on that, because it's delicious to just harangue and mock some of the crazy legislation every January. Yeah, they're coming out early already.
Squeeze it in, yeah. Hey, I want to change a very serious subject, especially for believers out there, and it's Nigeria.
Yeah.
Everything that's going on. Everybody in the left is so focused on the poor Palestinians who are trying to, they're claiming genocide against the Palestinians, even though they have not killed 1/100th of the population of Palestine.
Right.
Yet they want to totally annihilate and drive Israel into the sea and eradicate the world of Judaism.
Yep.
And yet you've got idiots out there protesting for the Palestinians against Israel. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
Nigeria, the Muslims in Nigeria, Boko Haram and others are systematically killing Christians in Nigeria and kidnapping girls. The worst one was about 2 years ago. There was a Christian school, and they killed all of the boys. And we're talking about 8-year-old boys, Dave.
Yeah.
8 to 10, 12-year-old boys. They burned them, just threw them on a pile and burned them all, killed them and burned them. And then took all the girls captive to make them somebody's wife. We're talking young girls, again, from 8 to probably 14, 15 years old is the upper end. And now there have been at least 100,000, and you talk about genocide, they are literally trying to eradicate Christianity from Nigeria. Now, there's another side to this whole deal.
Okay.
Something that gets me, it really bugs me. Of the top 20 wealthiest pastors in the world, probably 10 to 14 of them are from Nigeria. We're talking 10 to $50 million. I think one maybe, I think there's one more in South Africa, but we're talking like $52 million is their wealth, their net wealth. And now, it may be a Austin Powers moment, where Dr. Evil, because I'm trying to remember if it's 52 million or billion. It could be billion. Nigeria is an oil-rich nation. We get a lot of oil. A lot of people in the world get their oil from Nigeria.
Yep.
And that's why it's wealthy. And then you got a lot of wealthy people, and you've got wealthy pastors. And most of them, these prosperity gospel type pastors.
Yep.
And they're just preaching, they're going on. To me, it's a shame. Yes, America should step in, and Donald Trump officially designated Nigeria as a country of particular concern among Christian persecution. So Donald Trump is taking notice, and we need to take notice. But it's a shame that we have to take notice when you have these wealthy pastors who, if they put their money together, they could buy an army to eradicate these Islamic guerrillas and armies that are going in and killing and raping and burning children. But it's just amazing. There's so many layers to this. There's the whole layer again of the Western world ignoring them while focusing on Israel and Palestine, when many more people have been killed and are being killed, Christians in Nigeria and other places, and even in Palestine, the persecution of Christians there by the Muslims. And so all of these protesters, you got, what was the protest last week or 2 weeks
ago? The
No Kings protest. They're wasting their time, and a lot of it, they're wearing their Palestinian garb and all of this stuff out there and protesting against Israel. And why don't you protest where there's true genocide happening, true murder and slaughter, wiping out entire families and communities because of their faith? That's where the problem is, and it just drives me nuts that these leftists, these progressive liberals, want to point here when it's a fake problem, which is genocide. There's no genocide going on in Israel and Palestine, okay? But there's true genocide occurring in Nigeria, and they don't mention it. And it's part of the whole Islamic scheme to take over. And it goes back to Mandani and Mandami, whatever you call it. You got him. You've got in Minneapolis, the Muslims are taking over Minneapolis. There are parts of Michigan. slowly they're encroaching, just like in England. I just saw a thing. Did you see it? Where there's like 5 to 10 towns where the mayors in England are all Muslim.
Yeah.
And so it's a slow taking over, and they've been patient, and they even say that they're willing to outweight us and slowly creep, and Democrats are helping them.
Yep.
So anyway, it's just something I invite you to start looking at very closely and spread the word. Spread the word about what. Look it up for yourself. Christian persecution in Nigeria. Okay, genocide in Nigeria, and you will see. There's a great movie, one of my favorite movies ever, a Bruce Willis movie. I've seen it 6 times.
You got a phone off the hook. Let me go take care of that while I'm listening.
Okay, thanks. Anyway, there's a movie out called, wouldn't you know it? I forget it. Oh man, I hate it. It's a Bruce Willis movie, and Tears of the Sun. Thank you, Lord.
Okay.
Tears of the Sun. Have you ever seen it?
No.
You need to see it. I've seen it. I have it. I have a copy. I have a DVD of it. It's one of the most beautifully filmed movies ever, and the story is about these Christian doctors in Nigeria, and one of them is an American, and of course, because they're American, it's our responsibility to get them out as the Muslim army is coming marching in, and so they send the SEAL team to go evacuate these people, and they thought they were just taking the doctor, but the doctor won't leave without 100 people following her. So the movie is about this SEAL team deciding not to get on the helicopter, but staying on the ground and having to try to beat this army out and fight. And it's so beautifully filmed, and it shows the horrors of what's really going on.
Wow.
So, but yeah, it's definitely a movie worth watching. I'm sure it's on Netflix or Amazon Prime or one of those. You can find it. But like I said, I have the DVD and I've watched it probably 6 times, and I still have it. So if you get a chance, watch Tears of the Sun with Bruce Willis. And but in this movie, Dave, is probably 15 years old, maybe even more. Yet they were already talking about what's going on that far back, and it hasn't changed. It's gotten worse. And Donald Trump is now getting involved. He's saying this needs to stop.
Yeah, I just did a little bit of research on the Nigeria situation. There's strong accusations that the Nigerian government is complicit in at least passively looking the other way. If you remember, Ariel Sharon got in trouble, 20, 30 years ago, when Israel went all the way to Beirut, to wipe out the terrorists up there. And in their occupied area, the Druze militia, which is kind of allies of Israel, were allowed to go in and just slaughter a bunch of Palestinians in a refugee camp up there. And it's like, now, did the Israelis do anything wrong? Or better question is, did they do their diligence to protect the people under their control? So the International Criminal Court says, why, we're going to open an investigation. If you'll remember, in the 90s, Bill Clinton got us involved in Bosnia in a war because Muslims were being persecuted.
Kosovo, yeah.
Right, were being persecuted by Christians, Orthodox, Christians. And they're like, wait a minute, if we can go to war as Americans to protect a Muslim minority, then why aren't we going to the same kind of intervention to at least secure an autonomous zone for Christians? And now, do we want to be the world's policeman? Okay. I think there's a balance we got to find on this issue, because you can't go one extreme or the other.
No, you're right. I remember the Kosovar Albanians. And in fact, I wrote a paper on it where I was telling this story because the whole deal was that they felt that the Kosovars, well, all of them, and the Croatians had the right to split off, start their own nations.
Right.
And so I wrote this, and Bill Clinton bombed Serbia. If you remember,
Yeah.
Was it Zagreb or one of the capital of Serbia?
Belgrade or what?
Yeah, one of them. And so anyway, he ordered the bombing. We literally bombed an Albanian, Yugoslavian or Serbian city on behalf of the Croats. Oh no, I'm sorry, the Croatians. No, was it Croatian? No. Where were we down in the bottom again?
Well, Bosnians were the people that were the most persecuted.
Well, no, but this was what is it? It broke off.
Croatia. Well, I'm sorry, Kosovo.
Kosovo. Thank you. Kosovo, because there were all these Albanians, immigrants, and they wanted to be free. So anyway, and what's so weird is that you've got the same situation now going on in not Hungary. I've got all this stuff. So much is running through my mind now. I'm trying to get it through the Ukraine. Thank you, Ukraine, where the Donbass portion is wanting to be independent, but now we're taking the opposite position. We're saying that the Ukrainian Donbass Russians, it's a Russian people group. They can't be independent. Whereas back then, Bill Clinton was bombing the capital of Yugoslavia at the time, or Serbia, on behalf of the Kosovars to be able to be free and independent. So that's the problem with a lot of our geopolitical sides that we take. It's at the whim of whoever's president. This is worthy of it. This isn't. And if you look at it, it's kind of funny who we decide we're going to side with.
Yes. Are there U.S.
the
are there security interests of the United States involved? That's the test.
Well, that's supposed to be, but there was no U.S. security interest in Kosovo, and you've got basically Albanian Muslims wanting to take over Kosovo, and then the Christians are all up in Serbia, and so it's now we're facing the same thing in Africa and Nigeria, and probably a similar thing in Yugoslavia, or not Yugoslavia, in Ukraine. Got a gnat flying right.
Yeah, I know.
in Ukraine, so it's like we need to make up our mind. But it's weird because it's almost, it depends on which party is backing this as to whether it's right or wrong in the media.
Well, yeah, because Bill Clinton was determined to wipe out the Warsaw Pact, and busting up Yugoslavia was one of the objectives. And now, to that argument, prior to post-World War II and the development of Yugoslavia as a satellite Soviet bloc state, those were all very ethnically, tribally separate nations.
Right.
And so it's only under Marshal Tito that it became this artificial big republic.
Right, because he was the strong arm.
Yeah.
He was able to hold them together, but as soon as they killed him.
And he actually was respected.
Yeah.
I had a good friend as a foreign exchange student from Bosnia in high school. And yeah, she loved Marshal Tito. But so you've got those kind of tribal things going on. And, you and I have decried tribalism for the 5 years that we've been doing this show, that there are bad aspects to it. But when it comes to self-determination, if people want to join and be a nation of shared values.
Yeah, well, there's a caveat to that tribalism aspect. And where it becomes a problem is in George Bush's ultimate goal of nation building.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we've talked about before the partitioning of Africa. Have I ever talked about that before?
Not sure.
Okay, in 1870 there was a Berlin conference
Oh yeah.
where you had the heads of these different countries, all of the European, which we would call the EU, the old EU, now France, Germany, Belgium, Holland, and Germany. And anyway, they met in Berlin and
Carved up Africa.
carved up Africa. And the way they did it, and it was done on purpose, and I'll explain why in a second, but the way they did it, they carved it up across tribal lines, not making boundaries so that tribes would stay together. So, for example, Kenya and Uganda. Okay, the biggest tribe in Uganda is the Baganda, and in Kenya, of course, you have the not the Zulu, what's the Maasai, and you have these other tribes there. But what they did, so they put the boundary where you might have. Well, we use the Baganda. Some of them are now Ugandans, and some are Kenyans, but the tribe over here in Kenya is their mortal enemy.
So they destabilized.
They destabilized these African countries by putting tribes against each other, making them countrymen, when you can't do it because the tribal identity is so deep that you can't, it's like the Hatfields and the McCoys.
Exactly.
Right. And so they did it on purpose because they wanted to keep them fighting each other, because if Africa ever united, if these countries ever, one country has, and then they make alliance with another country, Europe would be in trouble. So, he's so funny. So anyway, but it was purposely done. And it was called the Berlin Conference. You can check it out, 1880. And but they did it specifically to destabilize Africa and keep it destabilized. And they just carved it up. And, you had the Belgian Congo. Belgium had Mozambique, all the way down to Mozambique. And then the English had Kenya and Uganda. And then you had the French took North Africa. And they used to have, Germany had Cameroon and some of those, but then the French took over some of those. The Germans, I think, were the first ones to back out.
Yeah.
But so now in Cameroon, for example, they used to speak German, the Cameroonians. Wow. Yeah, and my mother told me that when she was young, one of the threats they would always give school children if they were bad was, "We're going to send you to Cameroon." Wow. But anyway, and then the French took it over, so now it's French speaking all along.
Right.
But anyway, different countries. England also got Palestine, or the Middle East, Egypt, what's now Israel, up into, the French got Algiers, Morocco, up on the northern, northwest part. The British got everything over the eastern part of the Middle East.
I think that was, after World War I, they finally got that because it's the Ottoman Empire.
Well, right. Well, they partitioned it to be part, but they had to fight. Yeah. Ottoman Empire got in there.
Now
Turks.
Just a little of my Belgian history on that. The Belgian nation got screwed over, but by their own king, Leopold. He kept the Congo as his own personal property. He went to the conference, but he come back and says, this is, basically this is mine. Yeah. And but in the thing he wanted, it was the rubber plantation.
Right. Well, he got it for the country, but then made it his own.
Yeah, he made it his own.
Oh yeah.
And he was the most tyrannical nation, I would say, for a while there, because my own great uncle had 3 of his fingers chopped off when he was serving as a Christian missionary down there, and he decried the treatment of the natives. And I know this because it's on U.S. Customs. When he landed in New York, went through Ellis Island, and he said, I'm going on through Buffalo and then to Montreal to work at a hospital up there. And I said, why are you missing 3? He says, well, it's punishment for a crime in the Belgian Congo. Yeah. And so...
But, to me... let me give you parents out there, if you've got children in junior high or high school, young high school, I advise you to go find this song by Billy Joel, "We Didn't Start the Fire."
Tell me about that.
All right, "We Didn't Start the Fire."
It's a catchy tune.
Yeah, oh yeah. But the whole song is basically world history in 3.53 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
right? And he talks about, and what made me think about it, because one of the lines is, "You got Belgians in the Congo,"
Yeah.
and but it talks about everything that happened from probably around 1945 to 1965.
Mm-hmm.
And he puts it all, and he starts naming all these things. And I've often thought, man, I wish I could be a world history teacher, contemporary world history, because what I would do is give the assignment and tell the kids to go home, and I want you to listen to that song, write down every country and everything that is mentioned, and write a one-page report on each item, because it's world history, middle 20th century history, and it's all encapsulated in one song. I mean, it's one of the most awesome songs if you think about everything he puts in that song in that shorter period of time, but how impactful everything he mentions is. It's just amazing. It would truly give the kids and you just a new respect for everything that they had to deal with in the middle of the 20th century.
So get the lyric sheet out and go through it line by line. It's probably about as rich as Don McLean's American Pie.
I'd say more so.
Yeah.
I mean, because this is pretty overt.
Yeah.
You know, American Bye Bye Miss American Pie, you really.
Well, it's about the history of rock music.
Right, right. But it's not as clear as this one. This one is
it is cryptic. McLean did it very cryptically. But yeah, here's the thing, Eddie. God instituted marriage. We talked about that at the beginning of the show, and family. And as an extension of that comes the tribe. The tribe comes from a shared lineage, a shared origin.
It's actually loosely translated, tribe is family.
Yeah. So then, if we were to look at nations and how to righteously and justly do our nation building, you got to respect the institutions God established, and by extension, the tribes that became of them. I think that's the just way to bring peace and stability.
Yeah, but see, if you did that, then all the Europeans would need to go back to Europe. The Africans would have to go back to Africa. Anything not native to this nation, the tribe.
Well, I'm not saying that. That's another way of applying it. I'm talking about, do not put a border that splits a tribe.
Oh yeah. Oh, I've got you. Yeah. You know, that's what happened. Remember Germany?
Mm-hmm.
The fight over Czechoslovakia.
Mm-hmm.
What it is, part of Czechoslovakia, back what it used to be called, it's the Czech Republic now, but that was Germany. And then after World War I, they took it and pushed the line over into Germany and took away a bunch of that. And then Hitler, that was one of his excuses to get started in World War II. He's taking back the land but his problem is he didn't stop. So he took Austria and marched into Austria and then into Czech Republic and pushed it over. And you still have Czech villages in the Czech Republic today that speak German.
Yes.
Because they're ethnically German people. And,
right.
And in Poland, same thing, you know, all around.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's one of those deals where Hitler, he had the right, I don't want to say right motive, right idea. In a sense, the right idea that he was taking back land, but then he got greedy and decided he wanted to take more.
Yeah.
He wanted it all.
Okay, but Germany wasn't always the united landmass. I mean, you go back to the days of Napoleon, in that there were much smaller countries that kind of collectively were the German or the, what was the term?
Frankish.
Right.
Remember Charlemagne?
Mm-hmm.
Charlemagne was actually the king of part of Germany.
Right.
In fact, where I was born is in what they call Franconia,
Mm-hmm.
which is I'm going to say Frankenstein, but it's, what would you call it in English? Franconia. What? Frankville, you know. But but what happened then, like you said, as things changed and the French Empire shrank, because under Charlemagne, he pretty much was a world ruler. He ruled all of Europe at one point, up into England, up into Germany, all the way up to Scandinavia and even Far East. I think even reached up into Russia, the Charlemagnean dynasty.
Yeah, there were the historic Germanic tribes were the Goths, the Vandals, the Franks, and the Saxons.
And we know what the Saxons were.
Yeah.
They're the British over.
Right. Which a lot of that tribal blood of the Saxons came down into Belgium, in Normandy, and yeah. So, but that's what I'm saying, Eddie. I think you've got to respect those historic uniting and unifying things like tribe. And I'm not saying language either, because if you went by language, I'm sorry, but half of Texas would be Mexico. Right?
Well, it's turned into that, but that's the problem. If you don't unify around language, you will always end up balkanizing it.
Yeah.
That's
why you end up with the Chechnya.
Right.
See,
right.
But my son was my second son was a missionary for a while with the YWAM over in Nalchik, which is. But anyway, he said about every 10 miles you drive, the language changes. And he says, I was an hour from Chechnya, but there were 4 languages between me and them.
Right.
And see, and the Russians were never able to tame those mountainous the Caucasus mountain range.
See, in Germany, it's not different languages, but it's different dialects. And they all know the different dialects. In fact, I remember I was in Amsterdam. We were in this nightclub doing witnessing. I'm talking to somebody, and I'm speaking German. It was a German person I was speaking to. And down about 4 seats on the bar, this guy was sitting having drink. All of a sudden, he goes back and looks, and then finally he had to get up and say he couldn't believe it because he was a black person in Holland speaking with a perfect dialect from Franconia. And but in those dialects used to be very pronounced. Everybody knew exactly Schwaben, the Schwabs, and then the Franks, and then you had the Prussians and all the different areas. But Germany was able to unite around a single language. It was dialect, but it was the same. It's kind of like Americans, somebody come from Alabama and Mississippi. They may have the worst accent in the world, be a country bumpkin, but they're American.
Right.
And they speak American. And so you've got to have that. As soon as you have what you have either down on the Southwest, where they're speaking Spanish, primarily start speaking that, or you want to go up into Minnesota, and they're speaking
Ethiopian.
You have to
pick on us Minnesotans.
They're speaking Somali, and they've got all these.
Oh yeah, don't you know?
That's
right,
eh? That's dying, and as soon as you have that, that's what causes people to tribalize, and then all of a sudden that's our deal, and they're trying to recreate what they were rather than coming together in a common.
The fun way to study this is the movie My Fair Lady, Professor Higgins and Eliza Doolittle, because it's about which part of London are you from.
Right.
I mean, that's one city that is split up by dialect.
Oh yeah.
And social class is reflective in how you speak.
If you, I never knew this. I'm in Amsterdam in this we took over this nightclub
Mhm.
and turned it into a coffee shop in the
Mhm.
summer, and we would bring people in. And so I'm there one night, and these guys come in, and they're from Wales, and the guys start speaking Welsh.
Mhm.
It was gibberish. I mean, it was like speaking in tongues. I mean, I
Mhm.
could not understand. And the guy who was with him, who wasn't drunk, he was just cracking up. He was just laughing
Yeah.
because he said, "You didn't understand a word." He said, "No, I didn't understand. He's speaking a foreign language." But that's a part of Great Britain, the same
Yeah.
island. But they and the Scots up at the north
Yeah, the
have
Gaelic
the
influence.
Gaelic and
Yeah.
that's which more Irish, but and then the Scots have their deal. And so these are basically one tribe that are all speaking a different language,
Mhm.
which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So, but they've been able to make it work because again, they have established. They've gone the other way. They've taken those languages and established them in English.
Mhm.
Now you can still speak your Gaelic or your dialect or your Scottish
Mhm.
and your Welsh, but when you come together, and I'll tell you a real great example here in America, which is interesting, a border town, El Paso.
Yeah. You grew up, well, your high school years, right?
It's a predominantly Mexican town,
Okay.
and but the Mexicans there, the Mexican Americans, excuse me, they speak English.
Mhm.
They don't speak Spanish to each other. So it's they have evolved to the point where they prefer, unless they don't want you to understand something, uh, like I was at a football game and the referees made a bad call against UTEP, their town, and 50,000 people and 45,000 of them are Mexican,
Mm-hmm.
Mexican American, and you can see the border from the state.
Yeah.
It's right across the freeway is
Yeah.
Mexico. So anyway, the refs made a bad call and they start yelling something, and just the crowd all in unison. And I'm trying to what in this guy who we were there with, who was from there, he started cracking up. He's saying it means BS.
Mm-hmm.
The flow
Yeah.
was great. But it's in Spanish, and the referees had no clue what they were saying, and they're just that's what it is. That's what the call was, And so, but it's really interesting because in that city, the Mexicans have evolved in their culture
Mm-hmm.
to truly become Mexican American.
Mm-hmm.
So they prefer to speak English to each other, and they even to an extent look down on those who are still. I mean, they all speak Spanish, but they only use it like privately. But when they're in public and out, then it's English all the way, which is kind of interesting. It's a different approach with the new that you see with the Somalis, Russians, and different other immigrants that have come in since probably the 60s or 70s, where they're clinging to their culture. They don't appreciate the American culture and what it brought them out of. They want to cling to what they had, bring what they had back home here. As bad as it was, they're bringing that same bad crap to America.
Eddie, I'm glad you've come to this point here. I don't believe we're just dealing with stupid, policy and immigration. This is treason. What they have done, the globalists who have brought, and I'm going to say Governor Dayton in Minnesota, there's a bunch of people you could list. Pritzker, and that they are not telling these people become Americans. Remember Teddy Roosevelt's famous speech? He says there's no place for hyphenated American. He says, but if he will embrace America, he is deserving of all the rights and dignity of every other American, right? They're bringing in these people, training them to have a chip on their shoulder, to hold hostility against the people who are feeding, clothing, and sheltering them.
Right.
And it's happening right here. I mean, in Tulsa.
Yeah,
I was just down the south side of Jinx there on Elm. Churchill Park has a bunch of Burmese there. And the lady I was doing some work for this week, actually a couple of houses there, she's like, they are the most hateful people. They will not become your friends and your neighbors. They hold disdain to you because you're not one of them.
Right.
And that is no way to be a guest in a country that's trying to help you out.
Right. No, see, and that's the problem, that we have people, I believe, purposely want to see America destroyed.
Exactly.
And therefore, they're ginning this up. They're wanting more and more of it and bringing all these immigrants in. What I don't understand is how the Democrats can be so stupid. Either they're purposely trying to destroy America and are in on it because they think they can make enough money on it that it won't affect them. But I'm sorry, it's going to be like a French Revolution, and your head is going to be the first ones cut off when that does happen.
Yeah. They are enemies, Eddie, of liberty, of self-determination. They are trying to install a forced government, like a communist regime. And they don't just disdain America as a nation, as a republic, but the very form of a Republican government.
Yeah.
They want none of it. And yet they keep talking about our democracy. They're talking about our regime, our control.
In our chaos.
Well, they're using chaos, but I guarantee you, once they cement power, there will be no chaos. There will be no dissent. There will be, tyrannic.
That's what they think. See, the problem is, I think it's that wild dog that you thought was great to unleash on the other people, but once it leashes there and breeds, and there's more than one wild dog, they're going to turn it on you. It's the French Revolution all over again. The heads are going to roll, and it's going to be those same people who thought it was a good idea. Because if you're fomenting hatred against the haves by the have-nots, then the have-nots are not going to change. They're not going to say, "Oh, you're the good haves," and we're the have-nots. So we got rid of the bad haves, and so we're going to cut you some slack. No, they're not going to cut you any slack. They're going for blood. They're going for everybody. And as soon as you're not useful to them anymore, they will turn on you.
Yeah.
And it's human nature, Dave. And what's so crazy is that these bleeding heart liberals, to quote Archie Bunker, these bleeding heart liberals don't see that. They're so short-sighted that they actually think that they want to tear down the established structure and replace it with something else that in their minds is going to be a utopia, but it's going to actually be a hell on earth.
Yeah. Yeah. I think of what happened in Iran when the Shah was overthrown by a bunch of college students. But who really ended up getting power and who became?
China. The same exact thing. What was it? The Red Army.
Yeah.
Came in and.
But I don't think the college students that opposed the Shah were in favor of a bunch of religious.
No, they weren't. But who ended up taking advantage of it?
Yeah.
I mean, I cannot believe I've seen recently. Well, in England, have you seen that list of all the towns that now have Islamic mayors?
Yeah.
I think there's like 10 or 12 cities in England that are now run by Islamic mayors.
Yeah.
And Sharia law is being introduced over there, and the regular national law is secondary.
Yeah. And
they're trying to do the same thing, pretty much in Minneapolis. And then if Mandami gets elected in New York City, you watch. I have mixed emotions about that. In a way, if it's Mandami and Cuomo, whoever, it's going to, New York is doomed. And so it's not going to turn out like they think. If Mandami wins, it's not going to turn out how they think. It's going to turn into a true, literal nightmare.
Yeah.
A literal nightmare. So, but hey, you asked for it. I mean, this is what it's like when Samuel went to the people in Israel. They said, we want a king. We don't like being ruled by judges, which is basically what we have now. Our Congress and our president are like the judges, but no, we don't want that. We want a king. because the king knows better and he can do better. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because they had a no kings protest, but that's really what they want. The only difference is they want a king that will do what they want.
Our king.
Our king.
Yeah.
Exactly. They didn't care under COVID that their king forced or tried to force everybody to wear masks, everybody to get inoculated, everybody to do this, to stay at home and da, 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 da. They didn't care about that.
Yeah.
But now when you have freedom to do whatever you want, like have no king's protests,
Mm-hmm.
oh, he's tyrannical. I mean, these people, they're nuts. I mean, they literally have no credibility to me.
Yeah.
None.
No doubt. Hey, can I give you a little bit of consumer advice?
Please.
So last night I'm driving home and I'm, man, something's kind of weird, in my work vehicle. And my vehicle's, the tires are supposed to be, the max is 44 pounds pressure. I checked it out. All my tires were somewhere around 25 pounds pressure. You know what that does at gas mileage?
Yeah, Lord.
Yeah, it's really bad. It's like, trying to run in ankle deep water,
Yeah, in fact, it's an indication if you're ever finding that you're not getting the gas mileage that you were, chances are you need to inflate your tires.
Yeah. So anyway, and here's the thing, folks. When you get your first couple of cold snaps and temperature drops, the air condenses and you will have, you don't believe me, you go buy a Mylar balloon from a balloon store, floor shop or whatever, and take it out into cold air and watch that thing shrivel up. You're like, oh my God, it's got a leak in it. But then you bring it in the house and it plumps back up because it warms up. So the same's true with the tires. And, I had a couple of these little plug in the cigarette lighter thing, and charge up. They both died on me. They have come up with new things. Look at this thing.
Look at you. You have one of those.
It's battery charge. I just, charge it for about an hour on USB.
Does it work?
And it does. I mean, it does all kinds of things.
I've been wanting to get one of those, and thank you for bringing that to our attention.
And I charged it. Actually, I just took it out of the box, went out there, filled 2 of the tires up to 43 pounds.
And it tells you when you're at 43.
Yes, and it's got auto shut off. Eddie, have you ever blown a tire up?
Really?
Yes.
Well, when I was a kid, I had one blow up and hit me. I had the glue in it, to seal it, and it almost put my eye out.
Yeah.
I was about 10 years old.
So, and this even has emergency flashlight and everything. It comes with adapters for.
Where did you get it?
Online.
Oh.
Yes.
Timu?
No. Through Prime.
Through Prime. Oh. And how much?
18.
Oh man.
$18 for this thing.
You need to order it for me.
Yeah.
And I'll buy it from you.
I'll send you the link. But anyway, that goes to my next thing. I'm driving here and I'm trying to turn a corner at the light here. It's 61st and Sheridan. The person in front of me makes a left turn and jumps right away to the outside lane. Do you know David Ware, who shot a couple of police officers, is on death row today?
Because
it started because your mic's off. Okay. Because he made an illegal turn.
Wow. When
you make a turn, you're supposed to go to the immediate closest lane.
Right.
And then you make lane changes as a separate process. Most Tulsans have ignored that. And they think I can just go into whatever lane I want.
Well, I think, I'll be honest, in that case, I really don't think they know. I think in their minds, it's gone backwards. So if you're turning left, instead of going to the inside lane, they all want to go to the outside lane. And the people turning right usually do stay in the right lane. But for some reason, the people that turn left want to go to that outside lane. I've just seen it too many times.
And the thing is, you're supposed to be able to make your left turn while the other person across the intersection who's making a right, he's supposed to go into his.
Right.
And you're not supposed to be interfering with each other.
Right.
You know how many times I have made my right turn and got honked at?
Yeah, because somebody's trying to come out and they have a clear lane to go into.
says, oh, that person just got an automatic fail on their road test because they made the turn and jumped lanes at the same time. That's one of the things in most states isn't just points knocked off. You're behind the wheel test. It's automatic failure as a dangerous action. So anyway, it's one of my huge pet peeves in this town because this town's about as bad as any of them.
Well, yeah, that's one. The other one for me is people not using their blinker.
Oh, God, yeah. That's always it.
I'll tell you the one that I almost got into fisticuffs one night was I'm behind a guy and he swings goes towards the right. And I'm thinking, this is down a residential area.
Yep.
And looking like he's going to turn into the driveway. So I go and then he swings out and it comes in front of me.
Oh, yeah.
To go to the left. So he swings right and then comes across to go into this driveway. And then he stopped his vehicle and wants to jump out and get into it because I almost hit him. And I just said, you better get back in your truck, because you don't want to do this.
Eddie's packing heat in his car. That's true. Yeah.
So anyway, it really upset me
that is true.
That this guy, he thinks I'm in the wrong, but he, instead of just turning it, no blinker,
right, and
he goes to the right like he's getting ready to pull off into the right, and then swings right in front of me, and I'm the one who's supposed to be wrong. No.
Right.
It really.
And I want to say to that, when I had to take a road test to get certified for driving a bus with air brakes, I had to actually turn a right corner at an intersection with a huge bus. And, they said if I would have swung left to go wide and make that, they would have failed me immediately. Anytime you leave your lane, that's considered a dangerous move. Like that. If you don't do the proper lane change, which of course it's illegal to make a lane change in an intersection, period. Yeah. So in a big bus, what they teach you to do is go way out there and then crank really tight, and it's really slow, and it's a hassle.
Yeah, because you're in a big, you gotta swing that
and
way.
Even then, I have to end up in the nearest lane, the outside lane, making my right turn. If I end up in the middle lane, they fail me immediately.
Right.
No. And that, but yeah, so many people do that. They think, well, I'll just swing out. That is self-centered and is dangerous, and people ought to know better.
Well, they ought to know better, but I guarantee you they don't know, because there's so many things they do here that it tells me there's very poor driver education in Oklahoma.
I think it's also incumbent on our law enforcement, both city and county, and work with the media on this, is start doing simple little, 30-second clips. Hey, driver's tip to keep you from getting a ticket today.
The other thing that, for example, is collating merging.
Yeah.
The state legislature passed legislation about 10 years ago to collate.
What we call a zipper merge, right?
A zipper merge, right,
yeah.
Exactly, collating. And so when you see these construction signs, and I don't know why they have to put them 5 miles before you ever get to the merge part,
right?
But people start lining up all in that left lane. And so you've got a 2-mile line of people slowly going instead of a mile or a half mile with people in each lane, and you just courteously and in Europe, people just know that because they're taught it. So if it has a merge, you go all the way to the merge point at the end. 2 lanes are full, and then if this guy was out here, if that car went, then let this one go, and this one, you
back
go.
And forth,
boom, 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 and stuff is so much smoother and easier and simpler, and people feel better than having to sit back.
Yeah. Nobody cuts in line that way.
No. Right. And what happens to people who do want to go up and collate, then you got people that trying to rush and cut them off and stuff, and creates all kinds of frustration, sometimes accidents.
Right.
There's so many things. And what's bad, they don't they need to have commercials telling people. Now, the one thing, I think I talked about this a few weeks ago, where I was on Highway 75 going down to Bixby, not Bixby, Glenpool.
Yeah.
And they're probably just between 41st and 61st. There was a lady that decided she was going to be in the left lane and do 40 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And would not, and would not let anybody go by her. And then she was just cruising along in that left lane. And what I loved is there was a state trooper who came up on her, took her aside and wrote her a ticket.
Yeah,
she was halting. She was, because it's a 65 mile an hour speed limit there, and she's taking it upon herself to slow everybody down, would not let people around her or anything like that, And he ticketed her, and I think that's good. You need it. You got it.
Right. I know some older people who don't want to be in the right lane because then they got to deal with people merging on and stuff, and so they'll stay in the left lane. Now, keep in mind, some of these are like 6 and 8 lanes, right? The way the law was changed about 6 years ago, instead of saying you must stay in the right lane, they say you must not be in the left lane. Important distinction, because what if there's 3 lanes all going in the same direction? The important thing is the left lane,
far left lane,
is the passing lane.
Right.
And now they didn't distinguish between city and rural or highway, or in that. So the law still applies here, with the exception of if you're exiting the road to the left, which would say making a left turn, or it's a ramp that's on the inside, like up there Memorial and 244, things like that. But it's just so frustrating, Eddie, when people just, and some of them, it's the moral busybody in them. I'm going to keep you from speeding.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they're presuming that their speedometer is accurate, number one, and number two, that you don't have a legitimate right to go faster.
Right.
Because when you're in an emergency, that statutory speed law doesn't apply. If you got somebody dying of a heart attack, you honk your horn and you go as fast as you can.
I remember the worst. I don't know if I told you this one. I apologize if you hear my source, but the worst example ever, I was out west. It was after passing Clinton, Oklahoma, heading towards Amarillo.
Yeah.
And it was just wide open country out there, right? And there was a truck, a semi, in the right lane, and there was some woman in the left lane, and she was riding in tandem with it right next to this truck, and she would not slow down and get behind him or speed up and go in front of him. So she, in her mind, convinced herself that the truck is going the speed limit, so I'm going to go that same speed limit. Instead of thinking, I'm going to go the same speed limit as the truck behind the truck, she was behind. And Dave, for 10 miles, I stayed, my son was with me.
Yeah.
And finally, I said, enough of this. And so I went on the shoulder on the right, not to her left, because I didn't know what she might do. So I went to the right on the shoulder and went past the truck.
Yeah.
And then, boom, took off. And then we hit some hill, and I looked back, and probably 2-3 miles back now, because I had passed them all, she was still doing the same thing. They were riding along side by side. And I couldn't believe it. I was thinking, this is ridiculous. And I guarantee if the truck had slowed down, she would have slowed down.
Yep.
If he sped up, she would have slowed down. I don't know what gets into these people's mind. Have you ever seen this thing that you used to be able to buy it? You put this, it's a toy rocket launcher. It doesn't shoot it. It just makes noise and flames inside. And if you wanted to, you can pull the trigger like you just blew them away to let people, get that out of their system. But yeah, it's just sad.
All right. C.S. Lewis weighs in on this.
Okay.
Yes.
Dr. Lewis, please.
Yes. He says, it would be better to live under robber barons than under omnipotent moral busybodies. The robber baron's cruelty may sometimes sleep. His cupidity may at some point be
Cupidity.
Yes,
Wow.
may at some point be satisfied. But those who torment us for our own good will torment us without end, for they do so with the approval of their own consciences.
That's true.
Yeah.
That
So
is
there
true.
you go. Hey, I got sports scores.
Yeah, I've got some too. Let me give these
Yeah.
first. Maybe you have more. Ohio State is pretty much killing Penn State, 31-14.
They just scored. It was only a 10-point game. Remember, Penn State just fired their coach.
I know, yeah.
And they're taking on the number one team.
Because they were number 2 in the nation and then just lost like 2 or 3 in a row. And now here's the number 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 31-14.
But it's at Ohio State, the number one team in the nation right now.
Yeah, I don't care what it is. The score is 31-14.
Yeah.
Then you got Vanderbilt. Now, Vanderbilt is gone up to number 9. Texas has dropped to 20.
Yeah.
And Texas is 31-10.
Yeah, and it's in Austin.
In Austin.
Yeah.
Well, hey, when you're number 9, it doesn't matter where it is. You're supposed to beat number 20.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
That's true.
And then, of course, the closer one is SMU and Miami, which is 17-14 for Miami. SMU was doing well, but they've fallen on harder times in the last few weeks. They've lost. But Miami is up by 3 points, so we'll see. You know, a lot of people probably questioned SMU being accepted into the ACC, but they really fit. SMU has done. In fact,
they won it last year.
Right, and I wish that, in some sense, that we would have taken them into the Big 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should have. One more. Houston has fallen behind, and what's very interesting because Houston was 7-1 and 4-1 in the conference, but West Virginia, who is 2-6, is beating them by 10 points, 31-21. So
in Houston.
So I don't know what happened to Houston there, or what's happened with West Virginia. So anyway, you have more?
Well, I want to dig a little deeper on the Vanderbilt-Texas game.
Okay.
Remember 3 years ago, or maybe 4, you were talking about this great new prodigy quarterback named Arch Manning, a third-generation Manning quarterbacks. And last couple weeks, people were like, oh, Manning's sucking it up. Well, today, he's passed for 312 yards so far in the third. And he's 23 out of 30, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. So Manning's having a huge day. Arch Manning.
Yeah. I would give him more if it was 26 out of 30, and 400 yards.
Well, it's still third quarter.
Well, yeah, that's true. But I still think he's overrated. And I think probably what happened here, I think Vanderbilt may have been overrated. Now, the team that seems to be the real deal is number 2.
Who?
Indiana.
Indiana. Yeah.
They are, and whenever you see their coach, he's very interesting. You can tell he's self-confident and hard as nails. I mean, you look at this guy, he's your old school coach. And he's somehow, I don't know, I would bet that Indiana doesn't have the deep pockets that Texas Tech has.
Yeah.
And yet he has got them playing at the top of their game.
Well, last year, if you'll remember, Indiana did not have Ohio State on their schedule. Ohio State had lost one. And if it hadn't been for Penn State beating Indiana would have gone to the championship game. Ohio State would have had to stay home against Oregon.
Right. So are they playing each other this year?
East-West. I don't know. That's the funny thing, Eddie. When you split up, or when you do one big pool,
right,
and drawing, you don't play everybody every year.
Oh, right.
And that's one of the weaknesses of it, because you lose that rivalry consistency of playing, your big rivals every year. I would like to see the Big 12 go to 4 quadrants, 4 divisions. You still put the top 2 teams in your playoff for champion. but you play the other 3 in your quadrant every year, and then everybody else you play every other year. So at least you're playing everybody at least every other year, but 3 of them who are right around you. Let's say if you're Brigham Young, you're playing, say, Arizona, Utah, State. Arizona State. Nice. Those are great rivalries.
Yeah. My only problem with the way they've done it is they haven't broken it up into anything. It's a shuffle. Mm-hmm. So the teams you play this year will be different from the teams you play next year. Mm-hmm. And to me, it would be better if you did an East and a West, North and a South, and whether it's 4 quadrants or 2. But when you're shuffling the deck every year, I don't think it really creates the type of rivalries and the type of anticipation as it would, because, you know, in the West, for example, you would have Brigham Young and Utah, 2 tough teams both. Last year was Utah. This year it's Brigham Young. And then, of course, you could have Texas Tech and TCU. Mm-hmm. Then you got the East, you know, and where you take the California schools, West Virginia, Cincinnati, and then, you know, move over to the Baylor, everything that's east of, say, Dallas, and everything west of Dallas is the other one. So I think it would create more of it. So these teams here are battling it out for the championship to play the winner of the Eastern Division. Yeah. I think that's easier than every year you shuffle them and you're still going to end up with 2 teams at the top. Right.
I still think, you don't do a 14 playoff, and you still do the top 2. Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is, if you just draw a line at I-40, and then you got your north-south, but then you got to create east and west out of that. So then you just go at
75 or
well, I'd say Fort Smith, and then you go out to Albuquerque. Everything west of Albuquerque is the west. East of Fort Smith is the east. And then what you have down the middle of the prairie, you divide it at I-40. You'll end up with 4 teams in each division.
Right. But see, you're back to shuffling.
You play everybody in your division every year.
Right.
The others, yes. I mean, when you got 16 teams in only, 8 weeks?
Yeah, but if you do it twice, you got 7 games where you're playing the same team every year. Mm-hmm. And then you play 2 others, and then you're out of conference game, because they play 12 games. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, it's true. 12,
you know, yeah. So you got 2 non-conference games, mm-hmm. and then you play your division, your 7, and then you play, you know, and then you find a couple of other teams.
So,
and then shuffle, you know, those other couple, every year you get, every other year or so you get to play somebody from the other division.
Right.
So now, to me, it's simpler and easier.
Now, the SEC had been doing East-West divisions. I think they got rid of it now, right?
Yeah, I think they've done the same thing. Theirs is all shuffled up, and
but when they made the deal to bring in Texas and Oklahoma, the deal was Texas and Oklahoma get to keep playing their rivalry game every year. How did those 2 teams get a carve out?
Yeah, I don't know. And yeah, I mean, because theoretically you should probably have Alabama and Georgia do the same thing, right?
Unless you some years declared a non-conference game, even though it's conference opponents. I don't know.
Division, make it a non-division game. Well, you got an Eastern and a Western division.
They don't anymore.
No, I'm saying that's how, to me, it would be better. It's how they used to do it. The SEC, you had the East and the West, and now, again, it's this, it's just a double mess.
I made a joke a couple weeks ago about Cody Campbell for the OSU coach. I mean, you're like, no. And just for those of you who don't know, Cody Campbell is the sugar daddy who's turned Texas Tech into a major competitor.
What do you mean? Only $63 million.
Yeah. It's just, you know, I mean, everybody was jealous of what T. Boone Pickens had been doing. Really, T. Boone did more for the infrastructure than anything, because he wasn't allowed to put money in NIL.
Well, and then Gundy didn't want it.
Yeah.
Gundy, he doesn't want NIL. He's a purist. Yeah. See,
And he's out of a job.
Yeah. You see where that got you. Yeah. It's
So, yeah, it's like, what do you do? And I'm wondering, what kind of NIL deal his son got. His son entered the transfer portal.
yeah, it went somewhere.
And so I don't know. But I think, Eddie, at the end of this season, there needs to be a good look at what NIL is doing.
What it has wrought.
Yeah. Because I don't know. It's just turned into pro. And then the other thing is the influence of gambling.
Oh, yeah, I hate that. See, NIL I can deal with. The gambling. No,
But Eddie, all the money for all these great deals is all coming from gambling advertising.
the money for what?
ESPN, if you look at the ads they're running.
Okay, you're talking about as far as the networks.
Yeah.
Not the NIL money.
Right.
To the player. Okay. I just want to be sure we got that clear. Yeah.
But the money that's driving people to leave one conference that destroyed the PAC, for instance, in that, because they couldn't get a TV deal, the money that's making those TV deals possible is gambling money. You look at the ads. Sure, there's some Aflac commercials. There's this and that, the other. But the big influence is, the big change is the sports betting.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that. I think the reason what you've got, the deals, are because who do people want to watch? And I think once the consolidation of teams in the conferences has boosted it a lot. So when you got USC, UCLA, Washington, and Oregon moving to the Big Ten, that helped that. And then you got the ACC and the SEC and then the Big 12. And the Big 12 then is one of the beneficiaries because now you've only got the 4 divisions instead of the 5 of the BCS. And with that, then Fox is left out kind of in the lurch because ESPN, paid the big money to, they own part of the SEC. And then in the big, for all intents and purposes, they own the Big Ten and the SEC. Those are their teams that are always pushing. And then ACC and the Big 12 are kind of also rans, and they're more popular with Fox.
Mm-hmm.
But Fox has some deep pockets.
Yeah.
And so they have really boosted the income of the Big 12 and the ACC. And so, what I like is the fact that things have kind of leveled out compared to where they were. Because before, it was ESPN and ABC kind of ruled. And now Fox has come, and they've got usually a big game, or several every week. And particularly, they kind of own the Midwest and the Southwest.
Yeah.
And so it's made that more competitive.
Yeah.
And then, of course, every year the money goes. I mean, same with the NFL, NBA, all sports. Every year, because the viewership is getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And what the latest thing is? Women.
Yeah.
They've gotten women to look into football, where a long time a lot of women didn't. But now women are totally into football. And so that's increased, and they can expand their advertising and their reach and everything. So NIL, yes, there's an NIL and gambling. The gambling, it has influence, but I think the big influence is the popularity of the game and people starting to watch it across the board.
Yeah, and I think you agree with me. The whole Taylor Swift,
Travis
Kelsey, it was so contrived.
They're engaged now, so I don't know what the...
No, when did they announce their engagement?
A couple of months ago.
At the beginning of the football season. See, all of these things.
So next year
place.
will be the wedding. I mean, they keep taking their step, and then it'll be the divorce for the to keep
No,
the continuing saga.
The babies.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. The big baby, yeah, the royalty.
No, but
hilarious.
I'm telling you, Eddie, you've been around the promotions, music industry, entertainment industry is full of these deals that publicists put together. The synergy of, who's dating who. Now, I'm not saying in Christian music, although I'm not saying it's not happening. But I'm sorry. I'll put it this way. In fact, I was talking to my wife about it because she takes interest in particular entertainers, musicians, women. What's Elvis Presley's daughter?
Oh yeah, I forget.
She decried the whole machine.
Right.
And she just got sick of it. She says, unless you see my lips move while the words are coming out of my mouth, don't believe it. You just see the control that record labels have.
She died, didn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, she died.
Yeah, and the record labels and, the way they'll contrive things.
Yeah.
And it's just, I'm sorry, it's just, you don't know what's real anymore.
No, you're right. And what's interesting, though, is that Taylor and Pat Mahomes' wife, they've toned things way down. Mm-hmm. You don't see him as much, and they're not at what, especially Pat's wife. And she's a mother of two now, so I think she's finally figured she needs to evolve into the mother, mm-hmm. the calm wife, instead of being this wild wag. Mm-hmm. Wife and girlfriend is what WAG stands for.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, instead of being this wild wag, she's now the devoted wife and mother. Mm-hmm. So she's calmed down, and I've noticed Taylor's not bringing all these wannabe fans around her. It's usually like last time, the Monday night game day, or Monday or Thursday, I can't remember which, whatever, they showed, and it was Taylor and Brittany alone, just the two of them up there in the box, mm-hmm. So I think they're trying to tone it down a bit, and I hope it's for the good. I hope it works out for both of them.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, I think the NFL itself was in on this, and the media networks. I watched the way, Fox Sports just really played up Taylor Swift's attendance at games. Mm-hmm. I think it just drove in, got more women to watch football.
Well, yeah. No, you're right.
Because I tell you, Debbie and I, when we were younger, we would go to like the Drillers games and stuff. And I'm watching the game. I'm into the game. She's busy looking at all the people. She's a people watcher.
Yeah.
And she'll be open and honest about it. Oh, what is she wearing? Oh, that color didn't look good on me.
And then the big question: how about them Cowboys? I've finally become a Cowboy fan. I hated the Cowboys for years and years. I've come around. I'm a Cowboy fan now. Of course, I pick when they're down at the bottom. They're not doing so well.
Well, their offense is good. Dax is having his best year.
Dak.
Okay. Anyway, well, it's an X. So
it's not an X. It's Dak Prescott. It's short for Dakota.
Oh, DAK. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I stand corrected. So the thing is, their defense sucks, and really Parsons, trading him off,
it didn't help.
Yeah.
Hopefully, they get a lot of money and can recruit a top back, and I mean linemen, and of course they'll probably be low enough on the draft board that they can do that. What's weird though is that in spite of their record, Dak is again leading the NFL. In his quarterback rating. So trying to compare that. So I guess you're saying it's the defense more than the offense.
Oh, yeah. They're giving up more points than just about anyone. They will run up 30 points and lose the game,
I'm looking forward to the game of them and the Chiefs. They're playing the Chiefs here in the next couple of weeks or so.
Yeah, I've got it's a longtime customers of mine that the wife is a Chiefs fan, the husband is a Dallas fan. I mean, they're rabid.
Well, they live right in between the
I
two,
know.
Kansas City and
No,
Dallas.
every weekend they go to one game or the other. And
Really?
yeah, and sometimes if it's a Monday night game, they might get both in.
It's like my wife and I, we can't watch Tech and OU, or in the past when we couldn't watch them together. Because it got, first it started, we were in different rooms.
Yeah.
And now we have to be in different houses to watch those games because she is such an OU fan, which is weird because she never went to OU, but she is adopted OU as her team. And so, you know, I walk on pins and needles. I can't even say anything about, you know, Tech and their
I don't know.
success or whatever compared to relative to OU, you know.
Yeah.
Without getting some snide remark.
Yeah.
That's funny how sports can so, I guess, possess people compared to, you know, other things like faith, religion, you know, and sports and politics are the two things that cause people to get nuts and get crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just looking like a total disaster year for OSU. And I don't think it's just a football issue.
No.
I think it's the whole sports program. And I don't know, maybe we need to change athletic directors. Cody Campbell, you want to be athletic director?
What it is, they needed Cody Campbell.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Eddie.
Yeah, but
T-Boone died. Yeah, we don't have.
You can't. Benefactor is a better word.
Yeah.
Okay. Booster, benefactor.
Yeah.
With deep pockets. And OSU, you know, they should have oil money, and they should have people, oil and ranchers, and.
Well, it's not just Cody. Cody's building a network, and he's bringing other people along.
Well, Pat Mahomes is another one.
Yeah.
He's got him to be able. See, the thing about OSU with Barry Sanders, you should be able to just recruit the best running backs on earth every year.
Oh, not just Spencer Tillman. I mean, there's a bunch
of them.
He
went to OU.
No, who was it? There was another great running back.
Thurman Thomas.
Yeah.
Before Barry, Thurman Thomas, and then you've had others. Tyreek, even though his departure was not the best under the best circumstances, but Tyreek Hill. They've got two playing for the Baltimore Ravens, the running back and the receiver.
Well, you got Chuba out there. He's having to share time right now.
Yeah, well, Chuba.
And then Ollie Gordon, he's okay, but not lighting.
Well, I think he's going to do better. I think he's going to improve. Like Chuba didn't do anything his first 2 years. This is his third year now.
But see, now Rico Dowdell left Dallas, and Chuba got hurt, and Rico just blew up the place. I know, because I picked him up as a free agent on my fantasy team. He scored 30-some points, and he's their backup running back. And now that Chuba's healthy, they're having to share. I tell you what, it's an interesting thing.
It's funny how, my favorite running back in the NFL is Ramondre Stevenson. Ramondre Stevenson for the Patriots. He was and I don't know what it is. He got in trouble at OU. And so he didn't get to play, I think it was one season and then part of the next season. And then all of a sudden they bring him off of his probation. I don't know what he did or why. But from then on, there's something about him. He's just my kind of running back in person. And now he is the star at New England, running back. And what's interesting that all of the other players talk about his work ethic and how good a guy he is and everything, So it's kind of interesting. But Ramondre, I follow the Patriots too. It's Kansas City, and
they're actually coming around this year.
Oh yeah. What is it?
Drake.
No, I'm talking about the coach.
I don't know.
Vrabel, V-R-A-B-L. Yeah, Vrabel.
Yep.
He's the coach, and he was over Tennessee, and they've got some real problems in Tennessee. I don't know what the hell's going on. But anyway, he's doing. But he was an all-pro linebacker for New England, so he's back home. I mean, he's probably, but they're doing real well. I think they only lost one game.
Yeah.
The
And
Patriots.
Indianapolis has this Daniel Jones they picked up
That's
from
another.
the
And he's
Giants.
playing. Yeah, he and what's the one with Seattle now?
Oh yeah, came from the Vikings.
Well, Vikings.
Darnold.
And
Sam Darnold.
Yeah, it's by his third team,
Mhm.
third or fourth.
Yeah.
Because he's been all over, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden now, it all goes back to the coach,
Mhm.
coaching your surroundings, you
Yeah.
know, and whoever.
Well, I mean, the Vikings did well with Sam last year. They had the second best record. They just suck in the playoffs.
Well, right, but I think he shared time last year with.
Yeah, he came on late.
Yeah.
We had other.
Which is what's interesting because they still haven't gotten anything out of their number one draft choice last year because he broke his leg in preseason, and this year he's hurt again. It was the Michigan quarterback.
Oh, McCarthy.
Yeah. So that's one thing. It's sad, but that happens. You'll get a kid that gets drafted early and never ever is able to do anything because he keeps getting.
The Vikings have had a knack for picking up free agents and turning them into, like, you picked up Carson Wentz, and now he's hurt.
Well, yeah, but see, Carson, that's why he was at Kansas City, and then now he's there. But he, like that last game he played where he got hurt.
Oh, he was in bad shape this last game.
Yeah, he did.
They had this literal strap to keep him from overextending his shoulder. It's that bad. No, he was playing hurt.
Yeah. It's funny how he took the Eagles to the Super Bowl, but never got to play in the Super Bowl because he got injured on the last play, running a touchdown to win the game to get him there, and then he never got to play in the Super Bowl. Yeah.
And he's North Dakota State guy. He's from, those little Division II football schools. But anyway, hey, quick update. Ohio State's running away from Penn State. It's now 38-14. Miami's tied with SMU at the beginning of the fourth quarter. 17 all. And Houston
still
is
3 points.
Yeah, still 3 points starting fourth quarter?
Fourth quarter, yeah.
Yep. And so those are the big games we're following. And I don't know. It's just a sad year. OU was looking promising, and then they lost to Texas, and now lost to Ole Miss, which I would say Ole Miss, as far as an offense goes, there aren't much better offenses out there than Ole Miss this year.
And you're right.
And but anyway,
I'm trying to see what other good game. Well, Ole Miss is playing South Carolina, so that should be a win for them. Michigan and Purdue. Michigan should win that one. Georgia Tech, North Carolina. So Georgia Tech is the big surprise. They're 8-0.
Now, your son was their football operations guy until he went to the Panthers.
Right.
And in fact, the other night I'm watching actually it was Thursday Night Football, and Al Michaels was talking about how distraught the fans for the Miami Dolphins are. And they're saying, I think a bunch of them just want to go over and watch the Panthers play for a third Stanley Cup. So I thought, Eddie's going to love that.
That is sad. I'm kind of a Miami fan, too. And it's just, it's a morale deal. You can tell it's a morale deal.
Oh, their coach feels like he's about to get fired.
Well, he's going to get fired. They're letting him stay to the end, but he's done. But because once you lose the team, but it all started with Tyreek, and Tyreek wasn't happy, and so he's gone now.
I thought he's injured.
Well, yeah, but how injured is he? How motivated is he to come back? In fact, before the season started, he said he wanted out of there. He wanted to go play somewhere, trade me, but they didn't.
Yeah.
And so once that starts happening, and in Tua, I don't know if you remember or heard a couple of weeks ago, he was down talking the team about how they were playing. But when the quarterback, the team leader, starts dissing the team, that's not a good sign.
He apologized for that, and he needed to.
Well, yeah, but it's hard to pull something like that back.
The damage is done.
The damage is done. You need to have more class than that, and more, couth than to downplay your team. So they're in trouble. I honestly think Tua is a bit overrated. He's a good quarterback, but he's never going to be your super. What do you do? 2 or 3 interceptions in that last game. I mean, he's got like, I think 12 interceptions already this
I
season.
think he had 3 this last month.
Yeah, I know it's like 2 a game. He's averaging 2 per game or something. So it's, yeah, so they need to, I mean, he could have taken an easy way out with his concussions last year and just.
Do you remember?
say,
Let's go way back to early Alabama days. Jalen Hurts is their quarterback.
Early on, that's not early. That's pretty recent Alabama days.
Well, no, I'm talking about until Tua came and supplanted.
Oh,
Jalen.
right, yeah.
Jalen sits on the bench, and then we're in a bowl game, OU against Alabama, and Jalen's working a deal to come join the Sooners the next year, and Jalen becomes the number 2 vote getter for the Heisman that year. We had won 3 Heismans in a row, and Jalen's no dummy. He knows a team that can develop quarterbacks.
And who won it that year?
Gosh, I'm trying to remember. But it was kind of hands down.
Wasn't it? Oh, I know who it was. It was the receiver from Alabama.
Okay.
He's at Philadelphia now.
Yeah.
Great receiver. I mean, the guy is just, he knows how to catch and get open. I can't think of his name right now. But yeah, he won it. And Jalen was number 2.
Number 2,
and,
yeah.
And Jalen used to throw to this guy, which is kind of funny. And